So I want to ask, and Marian, I'll start with you this time, what motivated you to adopt Effortless as a talent strategy, and what specifically brought you to Challenger?
All right, thank you. So we're always looking for ways to improve the customer experience. The customer experience is not stagnant. So as the customer demands evolve as an organization, we also have to evolve. And so with healthcare, there were a lot of changes that were being made with respect to their needs. They needed the supplier to be able to help them to drive cost out of their business model and so forth. And so we had to figure out, how do we really do that? And so we were dealing with high attrition, like most contact centers are, with high attrition. And then we also needed to figure out a way, how do we build our staff's skills up so that they can take more of a consultative approach when it comes to dealing with the customer. And so as a result of that, we actually, on our own, we read the Effortless Experience back in 2015, and we implemented some of those strategies. And we knew that we were onto something because we are a J.D. Power certified organization. And the next year that we certified, our customer satisfaction scores jumped 29 points. That was pretty significant. But then we plateaued. And that's when we actually brought the big guns in. That's when we brought Challenger in to help us to try to take our service effortless experience strategy to that next level. And with that, we focused on three things. We focused on, how do we help the team develop these low effort competencies, and we changed our whole competency model. They went through capability training for low effort experience. We also had to look at how we were dealing with our supervisors. If we're trying to upskill our employees, we absolutely had to also upskill our supervisors. So we took them through a coaching model. And then thirdly, we also looked at our quality assurance program. We wanted to make sure that we were actually coaching people on the right things. We moved from this checklist scorecard to a competency-based scorecard that really helped us to focus on those things that would drive a low effort experience. And as a result of that, that following year, our score jumped up 43 points. And this is why we came to Challenger, to help us to improve the customer experience, and it was very successful. Thank you.
Thanks, Marian. Leah, I think you were around the same time that Marian started deploying the Effortless Experience. Would love to hear a little bit about what made you choose the Effortless Experience and what brought you to Challenger.
Yeah, our story is kind of interesting. At the time, I was reporting to the head of sales. So he had sales and service, and he was somewhat new to service. And so he was asking me, well, what kind of service training do you do? And at the time I was like, well, service training, it's embedded in everything we do, right? And so, but he got me thinking, and should we be looking at something more formal so that we could increase our scores as well? And around the same time, that's when Matt Dixon's book, Effortless Experience, was out. And so rather than calling around, talking to a lot of different folks who offer this kind of training, you know, all of my managers and myself, we had read the book and we're like, let's call Challenger. Let's use the Effortless Experience. It seems like a no-brainer. And at that time, especially, it was just on the cutting edge. And so that's why we signed up with Challenger. It just made sense at that time. And you know what? I really like the approach that it's, and I hear you calling it a talent development program, and it really is a win-win. Your representatives feel invested in when you use this program versus being controlled or having to say things through a script. It's not about that. And so I like that it's a win for the business, the customers, and the employees.
I love that. Yes, nobody likes to feel like a robot with too many scripts.
That's right.
All right, and Brian, this is all a little bit newer to you, but well, and more recent in your decisions to become more effortless and to come to Challenger.
Yeah, so I think for us, we may have come at this sideways or counterintuitively, which isn't unusual for us. We're a disruptive product in our industry, and the way we're doing that is by combining people with our technology. So we have a big platform. Most people have heard of Indeed.com, or if you've ever Googled a job title, it'll come up. We're partnering people with our technology to help people be more efficient. So we came to Challenger by way of looking for a way to maybe put some context around the success that our most successful hiring specialists were already having. So we had sketched out a model of the people. We'd gotten pretty good at hiring people to be successful, and we were just beginning to see how what was happening was our product is relatively successful, but we're going to ask you to do certain things as a client that might not be that easy in retrospect. And the people who seemed to be good at it fit inside this controller personality that we discovered online. So my boss and I went on a journey of discovery and talked to everyone we could find listed in that article and otherwise, looking for an assessment, because coming from so many years in talent, my idea was immediately we will just hire all these controller personalities and that will solve our problem. And what we found, luckily enough, was there's more context to it and there's greater solutions to be found. And the more we looked into it, the more we began to understand that we had been going down a checklist route to ensure quality, or to ensure that we were doing all the parts of our job. And now we're thinking more broadly in terms of how we can link making things easier for our clients to also how the product works, and how we're developing different parts of the product in different priorities to support our hiring specialist growth. But for us, primarily, it is making things easier, but primarily it is that it is a big part of our talent value proposition for our teams. The methodology of how to deal with customers and ask them to do things are hard and make it a little easier has been very appealing to our teams.